everybody, Sean from Movie Assault here, and it's time once again for the Halloween 15, my yearly rundown of 15 horror films that I have never seen before or haven't seen in a really long time, and my reviews of them. And they appear every other day throughout the month of October leading up to Halloween. And this is the first episode of the 2022 selections, and we kick things off with The Last House on the Left from 1972. This was actually the directorial debut of Wes Craven, who is responsible for movies such as Scream and A Nightmare on Elm Street, People Under the Stairs, The Serpent and the Rainbow. And if you were to ask anybody, any horror fan, what their favorite Wes Craven film is, more than likely you're not going to hear The Last House on the Left unless that certain somebody is a really hardcore horror or exploitation fan. This film differs from his other work, his later work, mainly because it's not very slick. It's very grimy, very brutal, very visceral. There's no dream warriors. There's no ghosts. There's no zombies. The Last House on the Left actually contains one of the more scary plots that you can have, one that could actually happen at any time. And the movie focuses on two teenage girls, Mary and Phyllis, who are played by Sandra Castle and Lucy Grantham, respectively. And they're planning to see a concert in New York City, so they travel from upstate New York to the big city. And before they go to the concert, they look to score themselves some weed, and they approach a guy named Junior, who's played by Mark Scheffler. And they ask him if he knows where they can get some. And he says, oh, yeah, you could get some. I have some up in my apartment. And he takes them up there and introduces them to his father, Krug, played by the late, great David Hess, the sadistic Sadie, played by Jeremy Rain, and their friend Weasel, who's played by Fred Lincoln. And after meeting the gang, they don't make it to the concert. And actually, they're never the same afterwards, because the entire plot, or most of the plot, of The Last House on the Left concerns itself with their torture and rape. And as if to offset that plot, there are a lot of scenes that are juxtaposed into the movie regarding the antics of two upstate New York policemen who are played by Marshall Anker and Martin Cove. And when those antics of the cops are paired with the kind of bizarro soundtrack, which features some upbeat country songs and some downbeat folk rock, many of which were actually composed by David Hess himself, the whole film feels like it's a deliberate attempt to keep the viewer off balance. And you're not alone at any point in the film if you ask yourself, what the hell am I watching? And I know I did more than once. When the movie focuses on Krug and his gang, they're actually depicted as a humorous, if not exactly likable, bunch of people. But when they turn into murderous creatures that gleefully toy with their victims, that's when the movie becomes really chilling. And the unflinching depiction of the torture and human cruelty that they can wield on their fellow man or woman, it's really kind of stomach-wrenching. And it's sad to say, but it's a lot easier to believe in somebody like Krug than it is Freddy Krueger. This movie was released in the turbulent early 1970s, and it's been seen by some as a commentary on the end of the 1960s era of peace and love. To some, it's seen as a cold splash of reality in the face of a post-Vietnam War audience. But frankly, I think all of that kind of analytics of this film are stretching it a little bit. To me, this is the work of a still young director with an extremely limited budget who's looking to make a gritty flick that would generate some word-of-mouth publicity very quickly and in turn make some money. That's not to lessen the impact that it has and continues to have on movies more recently and even back then. And of course, the exploitation films that it spawned. I don't want to lessen that impact at all. I just don't think that the movie was intended to be any kind of serious commentary on then current events. I think it was meant to be unlike anything that it was seen before, and that would just make it stand out from other films of the day. And perhaps that strategy worked a little bit too well because the movie was incorrectly dubbed a snuff film and banned in some countries. But in any event, the negative publicity helped the movie gain a cult following, which it retains to this day. And that's not too shabby for anybody's directorial debut. But the movie is still hard to watch, admittedly so, and it might be even unwatchable for some people who are not horror or exploitation fans. And I really think that was the only intention that Wes Craven had all along. I give Last House on the Left a 7 out of 10. And this is the Blu-ray that I watched. And there you go. So that is it for the first episode of the Halloween 15. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will be Carnival of Souls from 1962. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.